Okay, absolutely wild officiating game by the refs in the Monday Night Football game against the Bills-Jets. There was 22 accepted penalties for 204 yards, and those are just the accepted penalties. That's not factoring in all the declined penalties and the offsetting penalties. At one point, we went to commercial, and then when we came back, there was this incident, which resulted in a penalty. We didn't actually see the incident itself, unfortunately. The camera, I guess probably just didn't catch it because it was not during live play. This was the aftermath of it, but still, I mean, there was penalties all over the place, and some of them very controversial, and that's what I want to get into in this video and talk about, which one of these were the correct calls and which one of these were just bad calls. First, let's talk about roughing the passer. So, like this one, it's a huge play in the game. I mean, it's a 3rd down and 8 right here. The Jets are down 3 points. This is a massive play. Watching it live, it doesn't really feel like much. It feels like Rodgers just gets sacked. Okay, there it is. Rodgers, after the call, even went up to AJ Espinoza and said, like, that's a tough one, bro. But this is the play. You see Espinoza does fall on Aaron Rodgers. It's an incredibly annoying play because if you're trying to tackle Aaron Rodgers is a big guy, right? If you're trying to tackle Aaron Rodgers, you are going to have to physically, hit him hard, right? That's how you have to do that. You can't tackle him just by lightly grabbing him and bringing him down. However, by rule, this is the penalty. There's no he tried to kind of let up at the end. That doesn't matter. The penalty by rule is if you land on a quarterback with most of your body weight, it's a penalty. It's that simple, and that's what he did. It sucks. It's an annoying rule. I don't like the rule, but by rule, that is a penalty. And I feel similarly with this controversial call. This is, again, a huge play in the game right here. So to set the stage, once again, the Bills have retaken the 3-point lead. I should mention that last roughing the passer penalty kept the Jets' drive alive, which they ultimately scored 3 points on. But, find themselves down 3 again. Rodgers takes a snap. There's ultimately going to be pressure. Rodgers probably holds on to the ball a touch too long here. Ultimately, looks like he fumbles the football. This is ruled an incomplete pass. And again, looking at it, it's like, I guess I can see why by rule it is ruled incomplete. If the ball is going forward and has not stayed perfectly vertical, then it is ruled incomplete instead of a fumble. It's super close, and I'm just going to be honest, this feels like a fumble, right? Watching this, this feels like this should be ruled a fumble, not an incomplete pass. So even if that's what the rule is, I don't know if that's how I feel like it should be. So there was some of that, right? Some of just wonky rules, not the ref's fault. The refs are calling these plays correctly. Well, actually, the ref on this one called it a fumble, and then it was overturned on replay. But, the refs aren't necessarily calling these ones horribly. It's just kind of some wonky rules. That's not to say that the refs didn't have their bad moments in this one, though. This roughing the passer was just brutal. I think it got less attention because there was already the controversial one on Rodgers, but as of right here, you see that a Jets defender has, kind of got Allen wrapped up. Allen has just let go of the football. This part is all good, right? The only thing that the Jets defender can't do, and I think this is what he gets called for, is he can't continue to drive Allen to the ground at this point. That's the rule, is that after the quarterback lets go of the football, okay, you have one step where you can initiate contact, but you can't then continue that contact further on this play. That's how this goes. And in fact, the actual rule is you can't drive him to the ground. That's what you can't do. Well, is he going to? I mean, the answer is no. He lets go, and Allen kind of, I think, flops and got the call. You see how he kind of, Allen swings his head back. That was completely just Allen trying to generate a call right here. I guess he saw the Aaron Rodgers one and said, okay, they're willing to call these, but that's not a penalty. It just isn't. It's not even really close to being a penalty. So there's no way that should have been called. The one on Rodgers, a dumb rule, but a penalty. This one, you could argue a dumb rule, but not even a penalty here. It wasn't even by rule a penalty. And then this play too, this was a huge one, I thought. It's a 3rd down and 4. So again, big play for the Jets trying to convert right here. Rodgers throws this one to Garrett Wilson, and first, people were complaining about this being uncatchable, but kind of, we'll talk about it on one later, but uncatchable has to be really uncatchable for it to be ruled that way, because you could argue, well, if he wasn't interfered with, could he have stopped earlier, made a better jump, made the catch? If it's even questionable, they're not going to rule it uncatchable. However, you look at the close-up, To me, I don't see anything here. I mean, his hand is currently on Garrett Wilson, but like maybe you could argue he pulled a little bit down, keeping Garrett Wilson down. I didn't really think so. Like, there's no way that's significant contact that hindered Garrett Wilson's ability to make the catch, in my opinion. I mean, I think it just looked like it. Again, I get to watch the slow motion replay. The refs don't, but this isn't a penalty. It just isn't. Now we can talk about the other, controversial, uncatchable play. So this is the situation here. It was early on in the game. I'll be honest, I think some of these some complaints that people are having is just the typical complaining about the refs that people have, which is fun, but I don't think it's always correct. You see here, Allen's going to take the snap. He throws towards the sideline, and Joe Buck was actually the one saying, isn't this an uncatchable ball? But again, like I said earlier on the last one, with uncatchable, it really has to be clear, and the sideline throws often look way more uncatchable than they would have been had the receiver been able to go up and make the grab. Because, could this Bills receivers taken a step back, leaped up, and make the catch? It would have been tough, for sure, right here. This ball is currently, it's this high, and it's kind of currently, as of right now, just getting close to the sidelines. So, it would have been a really tough catch, but usually it has to be, an impossible catch, like 5 yards over anyone for it to even be ruled uncatchable. So, I get why this was still ruled a penalty, because it was clearly contact. The question was just, was it catchable or not? Also, this one, Jets fans were upset about because took a touchdown off the board, which then they tried for a field goal and missed. This was ruled a holding on Tyron Smith. But I'll be honest, I mean, you see him right here. This is a hold. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. He gets his arm around him. You could argue it's not an excessive one, and the refs could have let it go. Okay, fair enough. The refs were calling a lot in this game. I don't disagree with that. But, I don't think this is, nothing. And this one was another one where, you see, on this play, it's kind of a funny one. So DJ Reed falls down right here. You see him, he's getting ready to get back up. I think this was also a part of it. And something we have to mention is, listen, there were some bad calls in this game. I brought them up. Part of it, too, was these teams were just committing a ton of penalties. That was another factor here. You see DJ Reed is going to run forward, and he just clocks Matt Collins. That's not an act playing for the ball. That is an act that significantly hindered Matt Collins' ability to make the catch without an attempt to play the ball. I mean, that's clear as day a penalty, but yeah, he stands up and complains about it, so then the fans are going to complain about it. That's just kind of how it is, but these were penalties. So I guess what's my overarching point right here? I mean, again, for me, yes, it's annoying when you see this many penalties. It's not fun to watch as a fan. I want to just see the plays go, and maybe there's too many rules. I don't know, but I do want penalties to get called, right? I don't want penalties to not be penalties. A big part of why there were so many penalties called is because there were a lot of penalties committed by these two teams. It was sloppy football, I thought, at times, and then there were some that were just bad calls, which bad calls are going to happen in a game. And I think some, like the body weight one, I think people just genuinely don't realize that that's not actually, I mean, even Aaron Rodgers was saying it. I don't know why you got called for a penalty there, but by rule, that's a penalty. So I don't know. Weird situation here in the Bills-Jets game. But yeah, those are my thoughts on all these penalties. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.